Scene script. Have you ever wondered how plants reproduce? It's quite an intriguing process. Indeed, the reproduction of plants is a marvel of nature, a process that's been happening for millions of years, allowing for the incredible diversity of plant species we see today. And it's not just about creating more plants, it's about survival, evolution, and maintaining the balance of our ecosystem. You see, plant reproduction is crucial not just for the plants themselves, but for us humans too. Our food, the air we breathe, the materials we use, all these are directly or indirectly linked to this process. So understanding it is not just interesting, it's vital. So how do plants reproduce? Well, there are two main ways: sexual and asexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction involves the fusion of male and female reproductive cells, resulting in offspring with genetic material from both parents. If you've ever seen a flower, you've seen a plant's sexual reproductive organs at work. It's a complex and delicate process involving pollination, fertilization, and the development of seeds. On the other hand, asexual reproduction doesn't involve any fusion of cells. Instead, a parent plant produces a new plant all on its own, without the need for a partner. This can happen through various methods like budding, fragmentation, or the development of specialized structures like bulbs or tubers. The new plants produced this way are genetically identical to the parent plant, like natural clones. In both cases, the goal is the same: to produce new plants that can grow and thrive, continuing the cycle of life. Each method has its own advantages and disadvantages, and different plant species may use one or both methods depending on their environment and life cycle. Now that you know the basics, we will delve deeper into the fascinating world of plant reproduction. So stay tuned as we unpack the mystery and marvel that is plant reproduction. Starting with asexual reproduction, one might say it's the easy way for a plant to reproduce. In the simplest terms, asexual reproduction in plants means that the plant makes a copy of itself without any genetic input from another plant. This can occur in several ways, and we'll take a look at a few of them now. First up is budding. This is where a new plant grows out from the body of the parent plant. If you've ever seen a potato sprouting little eyes, that's budding in action. The eyes are actually the buds from which new potato plants can grow. Next, let's talk about fragmentation. This is a process where a piece of the parent plant breaks off, and this fragment then grows into a new plant. You've probably seen this if you've ever trimmed a hedge or pruned a tree. The cuttings that fall to the ground can sometimes take root and become new plants entirely. Finally, we have spore formation. This method might sound a bit alien, but it's actually quite common in certain types of plants like ferns and fungi. In this process, the parent plant produces tiny, lightweight cells called spores. These spores can travel long distances on the wind, and when they land in a suitable location, they grow into a new plant. So, whether it's budding, fragmentation, or spore formation, the underlying principle is the same. The parent plant produces a new plant all on its own, without any help from another plant. But while this might seem like an efficient way to reproduce, it does come with a downside. Because the offspring are clones of the parent plant, there's no genetic diversity. This means that if a disease or pest attacks one plant, all the plants in the area could be vulnerable because they all have the exact same genetic makeup. As you can see, asexual reproduction requires no partner. However, the offspring are genetically identical to the parent, limiting genetic diversity. On the other hand, sexual reproduction is a bit more complex and involves the union of male and female cells. Let's delve into this fascinating world. The process of sexual reproduction in plants begins with pollination, which is nothing but a fancy term for the transfer of pollen from the male part of the flower, the anther, to the female part, the stigma. This can happen within the same flower, which we call self-pollination, or between different flowers, termed cross-pollination. Cross-pollination is usually facilitated by pollinators like bees, butterflies, or even wind and water. Now, once the pollen grain reaches the stigma, it forms a pollen tube that travels down to the ovary containing the ovule, which is the female reproductive cell. This leads us to the next step, fertilization. During fertilization, the male cell in the pollen grain combines with the female cell in the ovule. This union forms a zygote, which is essentially the first cell of a new plant. And voila, we've just created a seed. But our journey doesn't end here. The seed needs to be dispersed or spread to a suitable location where it can grow into a new plant. This process known as seed dispersal, can occur in various ways. Some seeds are carried away by wind or water, while others hitch a ride on animals or even explode to scatter their seeds. Now, you might be wondering, why go through all these steps? Well, the beauty of sexual reproduction lies in its ability to create genetic diversity. Each seed, each new plant is unique because it's a blend of its parents' traits. This diversity not only makes our world vibrant and colorful, but also enables plants to adapt to changing environments, enhancing their survival. Sexual reproduction, while complex, creates a myriad of unique and diverse plants. So the next time you look at a flower or a tree, remember the intricate dance of life that brought it into existence. Now that we understand how plants reproduce, let's look at the life cycle of a plant. The journey of a plant's life begins as a tiny seed. This seed holds the potential for life, encapsulated within a protective outer layer called the seed coat. Inside, it contains all the necessary materials needed to sprout a new plant. It's an incredible package of life, awaiting the right conditions to awaken. When the seed finds a cozy spot in the soil and the conditions are just right, with adequate warmth and moisture, it embarks on the next stage, germination. During germination, the seed coat cracks open and a tiny root begins to emerge, reaching down into the soil in search of nutrients. Soon, a shoot also breaks free, stretching upwards towards the sunlight. Now the plant enters the growth stage. This phase can be split into two parts, the vegetative stage and the flowering stage. In the vegetative stage, the plant focuses on growing taller, developing more leaves and strengthening its roots. The plant is like a teenager, growing rapidly and preparing for the big leap into adulthood. Once the plant is mature and the conditions are right, it transitions into the flowering stage. It's now ready to reproduce. The plant produces beautiful flowers, each one a potential site for pollination and the production of new seeds. This is the plant's way of ensuring its legacy, of passing on its genetic information to the next generation. However, life is a cycle and every beginning inevitably leads to an end. After the plant has reproduced, it enters the final stage of its life, death. The plant wilts, its leaves brown, and eventually it returns to the soil. But death is not an end in the truest sense. As the plant decays, it enriches the soil, providing nutrients for the next generation of plants. From a tiny seed to a mature plant, the life cycle of a plant is a testament to the marvel of nature. This cycle continues, generation after generation, an endless loop of life, death, and rebirth. It's a beautiful dance of nature, a testament to the resilience and adaptability of life on Earth. So, we've learned quite a bit about plant reproduction today, haven't we? Let's take a moment to recap the major points to ensure we've got a solid understanding of the subject. We started by unraveling the mystery of plant reproduction, the process by which plants produce new offspring. This is a crucial part of the life cycle of any plant, allowing it to continue its lineage and populate the environment in which it exists. From there, we moved on to the two main types of plant reproduction, asexual and sexual. In asexual reproduction, plants create offspring without the need for a partner. This is done through various methods such as budding, fragmentation, and vegetative propagation. The offspring produced are essentially clones of the parent plant carrying the same genetic material. On the other hand, sexual reproduction involves the fusion of male and female gametes to produce a new genetically unique individual. This process begins with pollination, followed by fertilization, and ends with the formation of seeds and fruits. Each step is carefully orchestrated by nature, resulting in a new plant with a mix of traits from both parents. We also dove into the life cycle of a plant, a fascinating journey that starts with a seed and ends with a fully grown plant capable of reproduction. This cycle includes stages such as germination, growth, maturation, and reproduction, each playing a vital role in the continuation of the plant species. Understanding plant reproduction not only deepens our appreciation for nature, but also has practical applications in agriculture, horticulture, and conservation. So, the next time you see a plant, remember, it's not just standing there, it's a part of the cycle of life.